Got a great show for you guys today. Before we get started, I want to remind you, you can head over to footclangiveaway.com, and we're giving away an autographed T.Y. Hilton jersey, an autographed Devontae Adams jersey, an engraved championship ring for your league, and you got to check it out. It's all free, footclangiveaway.com.
Hi, this is Eric Dickerson, NFL Hall of Famer, and you're listening to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the Redraft Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
We're back. Hump Day! It's the day in the middle.
Mike.
Yes, Jason.
It's hump day.
It certainly is. Also known as day 2 for this guy with a coffee child in the bed. Wait, what? Coffee?
What does that mean?
Means he's coughing nonstop while I try to sleep. It's very rude. Very rude. So we both have sick children right now?
Yeah, I call him the coffee kid.
Well, yeah, I was just picturing,
Him sitting in bed with a nice brew.
With a cappuccino?
Yeah.
Folgers.
Going,
Nope.
Mike.
Well, it sounds like that, except it's just coughing. And instead of in the morning, it's 2 a.m.
Why don't you parent better?
Yeah. We're all thinking
That's a good question.
We're all thinking it. Welcome to Wednesday, October 25th. We've got a great show today. Pump the brakes, some mailbag, keep trade cut. I say parent better, and I've got a sick kid at home, so that doesn't work.
But are they in your bed just coughing directly into your face?
No, mine
Just
was
stay away from me, Mike.
Just projecting the Ebola virus all over you.
Ebola, eh?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm just guessing.
Well, no, mine was more like a heater.
Ooh.
Yeah, mine got in bed, and it was just an emanating pulse of fire. Dad life, right?
Yeah.
Dad life.
It's the best.
I've also been very busy. In our league of record, we have a 3-keeper league with draft pick trading, and our trade deadline is a wee bit earlier than most, so it's Thursday this week. And mayhem has broken out in our league with trades and draft pick trades and people trying to figure out. In this league, you basically figure out, are you in or are you out, right?
You selling or are you buying?
Marty McFly style. Are you in or out? And
It's the MLB.
yeah, it is. It's like an MLB trade deadline. You bring your payroll down, or you go all in. And yeah, so I've been busy updating docs and players flying around. It's fun. We are here now, heading into what, week 8?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, it is Wednesday, and on Wednesday,
That transition was.
it's not my best.
Oh man,
How about
alert the Emmys.
this? It's not only hump day, it's pump day.
Oh, the judge bringing it down.
Oh my
It
gosh!
Sure
you
is.
know what, Brooks? If that's the case, you're getting in on this.
O'Reilly.
Auto parts. Thank you, Brooks.
All right.
I couldn't even get mine out because yours was so awful.
It was pump. We didn't have like a melodious. They didn't come together in a.
No, well, you guys, it's called a semitone in the music world, and you guys were all one semitone apart.
The question
Nice.
is, did
Nailed
we,
it.
Did we hurt the O'Reilly brand?
No
Okay.
way.
There's no hurting
We're
O'Reilly.
bringing it together.
Pump
Yeah.
the brakes every Wednesday with O'Reilly Auto Parts. 3 players that we are pumping the brakes on. Last week I pumped the brakes on Derrick Henry. I feel very good about that.
Yeah, you got it.
And then he pumped them for, I think, 13 for 13. That's very bad. Latavius Murray is who I'm pumping the brakes on this week. Had a big kind of, I don't know if you call it a breakout game. I think maybe a surprising game last week. Got into the end zone.
It's called the Baltimore Ravens game.
I saw a trade happen in our league for Latavius Murray. Maybe that wouldn't have happened had they heard this segment, but I think Latavius Murray, while he will be a contributor, is not the greatest start this week against a Cleveland defense that surprisingly.
But Andy,
Yeah?
it's the Cleveland Browns and they're doo-doo.
Well, that's true. But they're 8th ranked in the league against running backs. You have a split situation there. And, it's very possible that Minnesota's running the clock out and Latavius gets it done. I just don't buy into the role and talent season long there. I still think Jerick McKinnon's a better back to own. So don't freak out is what I'm saying. Don't go freak out and go trade big pieces to get Latavius Murray.
Yeah, I'm going to pump the brakes on someone as Mike shakes his head no. That when I
You're living dangerously.
Yeah, I'm living dangerously. Mike says, so you want to go in those flames and die in those flames, huh? I'm going to pump the brakes on the greatest thing ever, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Now, I know coming into the season, I was not high on Deshaun Watson. I don't think anybody here was really believed that Deshaun Watson would be good. Now, we have updated our opinion. I think Deshaun Watson is going to be fine for fantasy purposes because he runs. He's also been able to, scramble and have a good deep ball. He's got weapons. So, look, I'm not saying Deshaun Watson is fool's gold. He's not. He should be fine. But there's a difference between being a fine fantasy option as a rookie quarterback in the NFL and going into Seattle against the Seattle Seahawks, who are great against the position. They're the third best in fantasy points allowed against quarterbacks, and that's, having played some, week one was Aaron Rodgers. They only gave up 22 points to Rodgers. The last few weeks, they have shut down Phillip Rivers. They shut down Eli Manning. I believe that Deshaun Watson's going to have a really difficult week getting it done in Seattle on the road. So I'm pumping the brakes on him. I would not prefer to start him this week. That's what I believe. So I'm staying in the flames, and I might die here.
That's well, I'm kind of with you because I'm going to pump the brakes on a guy who's coming off a monster game. I'm going to pump the brakes on Derek Carr. And I know, before the voice of public opinion jumps in here, I will just say what you're thinking. Like, well, going against the Buffalo Bills, they just gave up 384 and 3 to Jameis Winston, one of Winston's best games of his career. And Derek Carr, he just found Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper had over 200 yards. But here's the thing. The Buffalo Bills before that had given up 2 passing touchdowns the entire year. They are giving up the 6th fewest fantasy points to the quarterback position. Derek Carr on the road. The Bills defense is legit. We know that the Chiefs are we talked about this in the matchup that the Chiefs, while they're not allowing a high completion percentage to quarterbacks, they're allowing huge monster plays, and that's where Derek Carr took advantage of the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think he will be able to do that against the Buffalo Bills, and because it happened last week, people are going to jump right back in and think Derek Carr is back to being this top 5 potential quarterback.
So does that mean that you're also pumping the brakes on Amari Cooper?
Amari Cooper, I'm pumping the brakes on a 200-yard game, absolutely, but he's got to be in your starting lineup. I'm just saying if you can find a different option than Derek Carr, you may want to do that.
All right, that was Pump the Brakes with O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices, better parts every single day. Quick note, the Cowboys have signed Mike Nugent to replace Dan Bailey. Bailey's going to miss multiple weeks as the kicker for the Cowboys. Also, a quick reminder, if your waivers just went through, make sure you pay attention to who was dropped.
Oh, you
Drop
got
it like it's hot.
You got Jalen Richard, Mike, in our league of record.
Excellent.
So there you go.
Excellent.
But pay attention to who was dropped. A lot of people ignore that. You might be able to buy them real cheap the next day, pick them up on waivers the next day. And let's go ahead and get into some Keep Trade Cut. Let's go ahead and get into Keep Trade Cut.
Keep Trade Cut.
That was a really solid recovery.
I didn't get a lot of sleep last night due to
sick
the.
kids.
Did you have a coffee, kid?
No.
Oh,
No.
We've been through
no
this.
Folgers in the house last night. All right. It's funny. My son, when he gets a fever, he just really wants to reassure my wife and I that he's totally fine when he's not fine. Like he's just kind of like it's the delusional fever, but he's just like I feel totally fine. I mean, my head feels a little weird, but I'm just like 100% totally fine. It's kind of like, a DeMarco Murray owner right now. Just totally.
Yeah, this
it's
is
no
fine.
big deal.
This
is
is
totally
fine.
fine. All right, Keep Trade Cut. Let's answer some questions about what we would do with some of these players. The number one request we've gotten on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can find us on Twitter at the FF Ballers if you have a question for us. Stephon Diggs. Keep Trade Cut Stephon Diggs. Right now, not a productive player. This has been the problem. Immense talent.
Yeah. Injuries.
Injury problem. Plays, has the Cleveland matchup and then the bye week. Do we think he's going to play this week? And what do? Keep, trade, cut.
I would I believe I would look to move Diggs because there's still a lot of believers. Whenever somebody has a strong opening to the year, it keeps with them the whole season. Stephon Diggs, I believe, 2 of the first 3 weeks, he was the #1 wide receiver. People remember that. And, with the quarterback change, with the fact that coming into this season, we were all saying Stephon Diggs is a superstar. His issue is what? Injuries. And he's what? Injured. So he has not overcome.
I feel like I'm at school.
I know.
He has not overcome. Oh, what was that? This was that was my
Jay Gruden, yeah,
from the quarterback camp. Those videos where he's just leading the quarterback, saying, "Okay, the fantasy foot what? Ballers." That's right.
We're talking about Stephon Diggs.
That's good.
right.
Good job.
Plays for the Minnesota.
Anyways, my
Vikings.
point is that the injury bug that has plagued Diggs is not gone. A lot of offseason hype about how he's changed his diet, his routine to get healthy, and sometimes you can't avoid it. But at this point, I think you're going to deal with more nicks and bruises rest of the year, and you're going to be able to get value from those first few weeks of the season. So I would look to trade Stephon Diggs.
I would try and trade him as well. Unfortunately, he's
This is
so good. He's
This is the
so
time of
freaking
your
good.
fantasy year where you need contributors right here, right
Yeah.
now. So if you can go get a player that's going to give you something right here, right now for Diggs, I think it's worth it.
If you're a 6-1, 7-0 type of team, would you acquire Diggs for cheap?
Yeah, I might. And
just stash
throw
him?
him on my bench. That way I have a rotational player, play the matchups end of season if he's healthy and contributing. But you've got, multiple variables. Injury variable. You've got, we haven't really seen him explode post-Dalvin Cook. We don't have a quarterback that's established. You don't even know if it'll be Bridgewater in 3 weeks. A lot of variables. Good reason to trade. I agree with Jason. All right, keep, trade, cut. Demaryius Thomas. I am trading for Demaryius Thomas.
Yeah, I was going to say I would keep Demaryius Thomas. He had a monster play that was called back last week, so his stat line ended at 2-9, but I think it was like an 80-yard reception. I mean, it was humongous. Got called back on a penalty. So it's
1 week removed from 10 catches for over 100 yards. Demaryius Thomas is a beast.
He is not that wide receiver 1 that he was with Peyton Manning, but he's still a very solid wide receiver 2 with upside. And the thing about Thomas is 0 touchdowns. I don't even know how it's possible for a guy to have 30 receptions for 389 yards, 13 yards of reception, 0 touchdowns. So the return to the mean of touchdowns should be coming for Demaryius Thomas.
Yeah, I was shocked when you started saying that you would trade for Demaryius Thomas. I thought you were saying you would trade him. That would shock me. He's an absolute hold, a keep, or, yes, as you say, a trade for.
I'm going to hold you to the fire on this. You can only say one word for each of these 5 Redskins. You have to say keep, you have to say trade, or you have to say cut.
Cut.
Terrell Pryor.
Cut.
Jamison Crowder.
Cut.
Keep.
Cut for me. You said keep.
Yeah.
But I did say one word. All right, Robert Kelly.
Keep.
Keep.
Chris Thompson.
Keep.
I trade him high. That's what I'm doing. Robert Kelly getting healthy.
I'm going to – sorry, I'm saying too many words.
No, you're right.
Keep.
Jordan Reed.
Keep.
All right. Amari Cooper. Do you trade him after a 40-point week going into Buffalo?
If you can get the value.
Yeah, if you find that Cooper truther.
Yeah, you find the Cooper truther who is going to say,
Truther.
He's back. He's going to be that top 10 wide receiver rest of season. Absolutely you trade him, because while maybe he'll continue getting 19 targets a game and break all sorts of records, the reality is probability says that he's going to continue to bounce up and down as he's done his whole career, have monster games, have disappearing acts, and if you can get the value off of a 40-point fantasy game last week, then absolutely take advantage. I would trade.
The fantasy yo-yo effect that Cooper has had over his career, I think there's been a lot of times people have sold him too low and bought him too high throughout his career. I do want to help people out here, though, because they're all facing this decision with Amari Cooper. What do you do with him? I want to give you some names. Rest of season, who would you rather have? Okay?
Nice.
Rest of season, Chris Hogan or Amari Cooper? Right now, Hogan is the 8th-ranked wideout.
I'm going to go Hogan.
That's who I would take.
Hogan.
Here's his own teammate, Michael Crabtree or Amari Cooper rest of season.
Oh, Crabtree.
Yeah, it was Crabtree before the season. It's Crabtree now.
Keenan Allen or Amari Cooper.
Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen.
Okay. Would you rather have T.Y. Hilton or Amari Cooper?
Cooper.
Okay. Adam Thielen or Amari Cooper?
Oh,
Cooper.
That's really, really close for me, just because of the consistency I think that Adam Thielen brings you.
Yeah, they're very, very different players. You don't have the ceiling with Thielen that you have with Cooper, but you don't have the floor with Thielen that you have. So I would go Cooper.
Doug Baldwin or Amari Cooper rest of season?
Baldwin.
Okay. You guys, this is crazy. Do you realize that Brandon Cooks, where he's ranked right now as a wide receiver?
Yeah, he's a top 10 guy.
He's a top 6 guy.
Yeah, he's been solid. I mean, didn't you see that incredible pass that Tom Brady gave him for a passing touchdown?
Oh, yeah.
Where he dropped the ball right into his tummy?
Yeah.
That's a point in a PPR league.
7-step drop.
I mean, like, the run by Brandon Cooks using the block.
That's got to be.
That was a great
This
play.
has to be a new move. Like, get your tight ends out and have, like, an arm just holding on so that you've got 4 legs. Harder to take you
That's
down.
That's 100% how I played fantasy football, flag football.
Yeah.
When I was running, I didn't have speed. I got behind a big guy and just kept pushing the big guy forward.
You transform into a centaur.
Right. Yeah,
I mean,
That's what it seemed like with Gronk out in front, real tall.
Keep, trade, cut Devontae Parker.
I'm going to keep him.
I might be able to trade for him. If I'm a 6-1 team, do you want to stash Devontae Parker?
Yes, I would love to stash him. He was limited in practice yesterday, so there is a chance that he plays this Thursday. I would say it leans more on the side that he is out.
Yeah, I agree.
But then he should be back.
If you own Devontae Parker, I think you have to keep him because you're not going to get good value in trading him right now, and he will be better than what you can get. And in those situations, it stinks, but you just have to hold on to him.
Okay. This one is for Brooks. To close out Keep, Trade, Cut. Brooks.
From across the room.
Keep, Trade, Cut. C.J. Anderson. What are you doing with C.J. Anderson, Brooks?
Oh, I thought it was from Brooks. This is
it's
for
Brooks.
Keep.
You're a keep.
Yeah, I would keep him too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you, Mike. I didn't ask you.
Well, Mike and I will not tell you that we would keep him then.
You both would keep him.
I would keep
I'm not
He
saying.
doesn't-
I don't know.
He
Maybe
doesn't
I
have
would.
value right
You
now.
ask Brooks.
But Jason.
But
Jason, he sucks.
No, voice of public opinion. C.J. Anderson does not suck.
yeah, looking at his numbers, he certainly does not suck.
His schedule is brutal coming up.
Kansas City, Philadelphia, New England, Cincinnati.
Yep, I'd still keep him.
You
know
need
what's-
to go through puberty.
you know,
voice of public opinion.
His playoff schedule, the Jets and Indianapolis in weeks 14 and 15, followed by Washington.
Ooh.
I mean, he may be able to get you 8-9 points. I mean, you're talking.
Maybe 10. No,
yeah.
he'll have good games. I keep him.
Real quick, before we move on, we did have a ton of requests for Aaron Jones, Ty Montgomery, even though we have discussed that situation. If you guys
Sure.
can talk about them.
Sure. Keep, trade, cut. Aaron Jones. He's a trade for me.
Trade him away.
I want to trade him away.
I'm going to keep him.
I think here's my reasoning. Next week, Aaron Jones could be this week's Jordy Nelson. The offense, the efficiency, the ability for them to score. Maybe next week Jordy Nelson catches the touchdown, and Aaron Jones is meaningless, worthless. I'm just worried about
No, I can see that completely. I mean, you've
the
got an
Colts
offense.
the Colts situation, right?
You've got an offense that could be really, really bad because of the loss of Aaron Rodgers. Exactly what you're saying with the Colts situation. You got Frank Gore, who's had a couple good games, and he's had a lot of bad games. And I think you will see that with Aaron Jones as well. So yeah, if you can turn around and trade him off of his high game for value, it might not be a bad idea.
But what's value for Aaron Jones?
A value would be getting, someone that believes that he's going to be this top 15 back. If you
you're
can
in a
trade him as a
redraft,
top 15 guy.
If you're in a redraft, would you rather have Jerick McKinnon rest of the season or Aaron Jones?
Jerick McKinnon.
Probably Jerick McKinnon.
Okay, so that would be when I'm talking about trading. I think you might be able to go after McKinnon had a little lower week than Latavius Murray. You spin that narrative. You can go trade Aaron Jones on a big week. Go get Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah.
Now, what about Ty Montgomery?
Oh, his situation stinks because I think the right answer is cut. I genuinely do.
But you can't because
I don't think you can
pick
cut
him
him.
up.
Yeah, you can't.
So trade. I would trade him for pennies on the dollar.
I would keep him. I still want to see after the bye week if his health returns and he gets the role. He might have the opportunity in a couple weeks to trade him much higher than you could trade him right now. Because if you're trading him now, you're probably trading him for nothing.
Yeah, you're right, and it's a unfortunate situation. It's a reminder for fantasy owners who think or thought they were out of it, think that there's juggernaut teams. A player like Ty Montgomery went from being a top 5 running back, looked like that was the way it was going to be for the whole season, to being a player we're debating a cut or a trade on. So it can happen just at any time.
For interesting to note for Ty Montgomery, so Montgomery the first week of the season had 19 carries. After that, 10-12, 5 the injury game, 10-4. Aaron Jones has seen no fewer than 13 carries the last 4 weeks. So even when Montgomery was healthy, he was getting fewer carries than Aaron Jones has this past month.
What is the conclusion based on that?
It's that the team – I think the team believes that Aaron Jones is a better running back.
Yeah.
Montgomery might be better for their system when Aaron Rodgers is in, but this is kind of what we had talked about before that. But Aaron Jones is a better running back. He's better at that position. So I think that's why he's a key for me. When you can maybe trade him away for a guy like McKinnon. If you can get that done, that particular deal, I would do it. Otherwise, I'm going to hold on to Jones.
Jones or Joe Mixon rest of the season?
Man,
Joe Mixon.
It's probably Jones for me.
All right. We're going to take a quick pause. We're going to thank today's sponsor, pristineauction.com. It's very simple. If you're not on pristineauction.com, if you don't have an account over there, you're missing out on an amazing assortment of daily auctions on NFL merchandise. You've got a Jose Altuve. If you're into the World Series right now, you're a Houston fan, there's an autographed custom frame jersey on the homepage. It's completely free to make an account over there. And I can tell you on good authority, having sat down with these guys at Pristine Auction, there is some really special stuff coming out available. They're ahead of the game. I like to think that they are they're the sports memorabilia equal of the fantasy footballers. We try to stay out in front. We try to make things innovative and new, and that's what Pristine Auction does. And there are hundreds of daily auctions. You can get incredible deals. You're talking like $40 for an autographed jersey of your favorite player that you can hang on your man cave wall that you can give to your friend as a gift. Do you want a $40 iTunes gift card, or do you want to give them an autographed jersey of their favorite player? I mean, the impact that makes, it's awesome. So check it out, pristineauction.com, Pristine auction.com. Let them know the fantasy footballers sent you. All right, we also want to thank a brand new sponsor of the show. Look, I'm a gamer. I just picked up Destiny 2. I like the newest games. I like checking out a lot of the strategy games, the games that you can play online. We used to be in the gaming business. I'm a World War II buff, and we've got a new sponsor, and it is World of Warships. It's a free-to-play historical online combat game for wargaming. And if you're a history buff, if you have wondered what it's like to command a naval fleet, you got to go check this out. You can command the USS Arizona, the Indianapolis, the Enterprise, 4 classes of ships from over 8 nations. This is a strategy game. This is a unique experience, and you've got to check it out if you're into these type of things. You can download World of Warships for free today at commandwarships.com to begin your naval adventure. Make sure you enter the code football17. That is all caps, football17. When you download, you get a bunch of bonus content courtesy of the fantasy footballers. That includes a free premium ship, a famous cruiser, Aurora, and a pile of in-game currency to jumpstart your epic World War II naval experience. Just download World of Warships today at commandwarships.com and start playing right now. Okay, guys, let's preview the Thursday night game. My expectations for this game are not high. Neither are Vegas's. 37.5 point over-under. Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins travel. They take on the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore is 3-4. The Dolphins, they're 4-2.
Yeah, this is being an early game. Speaking, we just talked about Devontae Parker. I think the fact that it's Thursday leads me further to believe he's not going to be able to play. If he doesn't play, we've talked about Kenny Stills and the connection he has with Matt Moore. Now, this is a difficult matchup in a low-scoring projection. So Kenny Stills is one of these players where I think people are going to need to play Kenny Stills this week because of the bipocalypse. So many teams are just looking for waiver wire scroungers, and Kenny Stills could absolutely come out and get 1 for 12 in this game and put up a dud. But he also has the capability of going, 7 for 88 and a touchdown in this matchup. So I think Kenny Stills is one of those guys you can he's a sneaky snart, as we say around here.
Matt Moore, I picked him up in our Dynasty League. I think he is a streamable option. If you're in a tough situation, he's moved this offense over time. He still has the weapons there. What's the full upside? I mean, you're not starting him over some of the better streaming options we gave you yesterday.
Like Josh McCown.
Yeah, I'd play Josh McCown for sure because of the Baltimore matchup. Baltimore's 7th against the pass. They're the worst against the run. So this game, the headline for me on the Miami side really is it's the Jay Ajayi story.
Yeah, absolutely. Jay Ajayi.
We put DeMarco Murray on blast for the Monday night game a couple weeks ago, said if he doesn't perform in that matchup, you need to be concerned. I'm hitting the panic button on Jay Ajayi if he gets another 20 carries and ends up with a outside the top 15 fantasy performance. On the other side of the ball, though, let's talk about Baltimore. Or did you have anything to add to Ajayi?
I'm very excited for Jay Ajayi for this particular week. You saw Latavius Murray this past week just absolutely dominate the Baltimore Ravens. That's with Williams back for the Baltimore Ravens. They're kind of their run stopper. I kind of thought, well, okay, Williams is back. Maybe things will be better. Nope, certainly not. So I'm looking for a big game for Jay Ajayi.
Yeah, I think you said it right. It's exactly what we said about DeMarco Murray. He should have a good game, and he did.
You're on notice.
We expected him to, but he's on notice because if Jay Ajayi comes out and has another poor performance this week, I think at that point you look to trade him. Now, I don't expect him to have a poor game.
With the Ravens allowing just under 17 completions a game, they're averaging almost 1.5 interceptions per game. Matt Moore still, even with those numbers, I
told you he's not as good as the streaming options we gave you. I'm impressed with his ability to move the offense. He has the Josh McCown kind of scrounge around, and you end up with fantasy points for him. This team is moving the ball. This team is having more success, and they're a 4-2 team. I'm not impressed with the Ravens overall. I think from an offensive standpoint, they're going to give Miami some shorter fields. I think some of those yardage numbers are deceptive because how bad their offense is,
right,
that they give these opposition short fields. I'm just saying stay aware. I'm not really saying, hey, go out and start Matt Moore.
If you pick him up, and don't start him, the following week he should still be the starter. That's, I believe, everybody's expectation is that he'll get at least 2 starts. And next week it is the Oakland Raiders. I think you could definitely start Matt Moore there.
Now, with the Dolphins, they're allowing a completion percentage of over 71%.
Won't matter.
Yeah? You have no interest in
Joe Flacco?
Not so much Flacco, but these ragtag pass catchers for the Ravens. I mean, you have Macklin's been limited. Mike Wallace is coming off of the concussion. Rashad Perryman injury. I mean, so you talk about the ultimate sneaky start, like Michael Campanaro. If you are desperate, are you going to try and play a guy like him, or you feel like there are more known, better options on your waiver wire?
I think there's a ton of better options. We talked about 10 wide receivers on yesterday's waiver wire show that I would all prefer over Campanaro or Moore. I just don't trust Joe Flacco or the offense. If you want, who's going to lead their team in receptions? I think it's just as likely going to be Javorius Allen as it is any of their wide receivers, with Ben Watson currently also hobbled. I like the Baltimore run game enough here in this matchup to start Javorius Allen for sure and possibly Alex Collins if you have to. I don't think I trust a single other pass catcher for Baltimore.
I think with Baltimore on Thursday night, we're sitting here trying to find a narrative of some player to start the same way, when your kid that's 3 years old paints you a picture and you tell him it's the greatest picture of all time.
The eyes. The eyes are really good in that.
Patronizing Baltimore fantasy players at this point. I don't have confidence. I agree with the takes on the wide receiver core. Ben Watson, he'll probably catch 5 balls tonight. You could do worse than that in a PPR situation if you don't have a tight end. But
tomorrow.
What's that?
You said tonight.
Oh,
that
correct.
would be awesome.
Yeah.
Get this game out of the way.
Thursday night. So, all right. We
just one quick Ravens question for you guys. Danny Woodhead is apparently targeting a Week 11 return. When do you become interested in stashing Danny Woodhead if you're in a PPR?
We play in IR leagues. I've got Danny Woodhead stashed everywhere. I've said it for the last couple months. I believe he comes back and makes a difference to the offense and is a good player. So if you don't have an IR, I think you only need to worry about 1 week ahead. In most leagues, you're not going to need to – people aren't going to want to stash a guy who's still actually on the IR. So wait till Week 10 or so.
All right, let's get into the mailbag.
Mailbag.
Bang, ooh, bang, ooh. It's Wednesday.
Goodness. Welcome to the mailbag. If you have a question, you can go to our website, thefantasyfootballers.com. You can also dial our voicemail hotline. The number there is 302-464-TFFB. We're going to start today's mailbag out with a voicemail question.
Hey, guys. Love the show. Zach from Reno. Thinking about trading Terrell Pryor for Corey Davis. What are your thoughts? Terrell Pryor hasn't performed. I know Corey Davis has a tough schedule coming up, but I like his talent and his opportunity when he comes back. Thanks for answering the question. Love you guys.
I think it's a great question. I would do that trade in a heartbeat, but I want to talk a little bit about Corey Davis because I think the lack of a singular producing wide receiver in Tennessee, one that's stepping up, one that's making this offense move, I think it actually affords a very large opportunity for Corey Davis when he comes back. You have to wait a little bit for maybe a couple games after he gets back, but I think Corey Davis could be a very startable fantasy piece. His target count was so impressive to start the year.
10 targets in his first game.
6 for 69. Yeah, week 1.
Eric Decker's not getting it done consistently. Rashard Matthews isn't getting it done consistently. Delaney Walker is now injured, banged up. He's older. Corey Davis is the future. Taywan Taylor is the future.
And they've held him out for a long time to get him healthy. Now they've got the bye week on top of that. If he can come out healthy after the bye week, that's good. But now this is the schedule that Zach was alluding to. Out of the bye, they go up against Baltimore, tough. Cincinnati, tough. Pittsburgh, tough. I mean, that's –
how do they just play the entire AFC North in 3 weeks?
Yeah, there you go. And then, 2 weeks later, Houston, Arizona.
Yeah, the matchups
finished
are,
the year against the Jaguars.
It's certainly tough, but I would trade Terrell Pryor for Corey Davis. Pryor is, he's been demoted.
I would rather have
their defense struggles so much, though. They're going to have to throw the ball this year.
Yeah, I would rather have Corey Davis than Terrell Pryor. That being said, I think both of these guys right now might be just waiver guys. If you need a player that you can rely on and actually start right now, I'd be fine kicking either of them to the curb for a guy you can start if you need to.
All right. This is an important question from Ethan in Winchester, Virginia.
Okay.
He says, I enjoy Mike's laughter following Jason's throat swallow in the August Top 10 running back episode so often that I replay it for kicks. But afterwards, Andy says, I hope that's not a premonition for the season. Was this tragedy and other Cardinal tragedies a direct result of Jason's vocal malfunction? Is your vocal malfunction the reason the Arizona Cardinals and David Johnson
You
have
got some splaining to do, Jason.
And it's ridiculous. This writer who has written in is so close to being accurate on. He's laid out the entire situation, but he doesn't realize it was after my throat problem. Andy is the Fantasy Reaper is the one who said, "Oh, I hope that's not a premonition," thus making it a premonition of the season. Andy Holloway, the Fantasy Reaper, at it again.
I don't know. I think we have a denied it, supplied it situation going on here for Jason Moore.
Is that like a smelt it, dealt it?
It is. It's very similar to that.
We need to Snopes this. We need to figure out who started this. Look, players get hurt. It's definitely Jason's fault. All right, Bryant in Milwaukee. I traded Jordy Nelson after he scored just 1 point this week, and he got Doug Baldwin. Is that a good trade? My quarterback is Russell Wilson. I also have A.J. Green, and I'm going to vote yes.
Yeah.
I would rather have Doug Baldwin than Jordy Nelson rest of season.
Yes.
One of the realities in fantasy football, again, another strategic component, it's really hard to get rid of names.
Yes.
Even when you know in your head that their value is now changed. Jordy Nelson is not the same Jordy Nelson of 3 weeks ago. He is he's leveled down, right? Like the normal Jordy Nelson has had the mushroom and is big. This is the
he took a hit from a Goomba.
He took a hit from a Goomba. He's the regular size. He's not as good as
he's one hit away from being gone.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and you want to trade him, and you want to think of him
good sound effect.
as the full size, and he's not. And so you made an intelligent move here. I think you just went out and you basically sold the name, and you got a better player back.
Bryant, you're the listener of the week.
Yeah, well done. This one comes in from Double D in San Francisco. Love the show. The Cave is looking stellar. We got a new helmet in the middle of the table today.
You can check it out on YouTube.
But guys,
yes,
I only listen on the podcast, and I don't know what you're talking about. Looking stellar.
Well,
I just told you to go to YouTube.
You're going to struggle because
never heard of it.
Halloween's coming up, and we've got something special planned. Simple question: Jay Ajayi or Ty Montgomery rest of season? Goodness gracious, that answer is Jay Ajayi.
Jay Ajayi,
yes, for sure.
Let's look at Lev Bell. Josh in Louisville wants to know, with the recent usage of Lev Bell, by the way, 30-plus carries a game in 3 or 4 games, is anyone worried of him having a large fall-off at some point in this year, or even worse, an injury? It's amazing that, he's getting these numbers in the short term, but should you be shopping him for a king's ransom with these workloads in light of injury and workload concerns?
No.
Oh, no.
You don't.
No.
Look, there are.
Maybe this ice cream cone isn't as good as it is.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to go eat some disgusting vegetables instead. No, you don't do that.
The reason that you can get a king's the reason you could get a king's ransom for Le'Veon Bell is precisely because he's a 30-plus carry type guy. And yes, he could get injured. You want to know who else could get injured?
Ooh, he is worth a king's ransom.
You know who else could get injured? Whoever it is that you trade him for.
That's true.
Here's the thing about Le'Veon Bell. His 30 carries. He's such a different running back. He is not blasting into the line trying to run people over.
He looks like he never takes a hit.
He just kind of gets they
Thomas
gently
Rawls
put him to the ground.
If Thomas Rawls had 30 carries, he'd be in ICU.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
That's the different running
style.
style.
He runs head down, straight ahead into a brick wall, and Le'Veon Bell is he's upright. He's just kind of I said this the last game when we were watching how amazing he is. It never looks like he's sprinting. He's always just jogging. He's out there. He comes up to the line. He puts his hand on the offensive lineman's back, and he sneaks for about 8 yards and out the sideline over and over and over and over.
And because of that, I mean, you're right. He never looks. You're never watching Le'Veon Bell and go, "Holy crap, that guy's really fast." I think he has some kind of debuff aura around him that slows everyone else on the football field down. Because what he does is simply, it's impossible. But it's possible because Le'Veon Bell's doing it.
What's up, Brooks?
Would you guys say the proper solution is to get James Conner on your bench
Yes.
If you're worried.
Yes.
about
If you're scared about Bell, pick up James Conner.
For a sec, you don't chime in very often, Brooks, and for a split second, I thought you were trying to make like a Terminator joke, just out of nowhere.
Nah.
But no, you made an intelligent, smart contribution to this
John
show.
Connor. John
Yeah.
Connor.
Yeah.
Sean Conner. You had it. Sean Conner.
Sean Connery.
This is
I'll be back.
this is degraded. Tyrone.
You don't want to hear Sean Connery do Arnold lines?
I would love Sean Connery to read this next
gets to
question.
the
It's not a tumor.
Gets to the chopper.
I am the last one.
There you go.
Highlander. Tyrone in Atlanta, would trading Antonio Brown for LaShawn McCoy make sense? Maybe.
Yeah, it could.
PPR league?
I'd still rather have Antonio Brown if it's a PPR league.
Yeah.
But the trade is fair. I mean, it's a team dependent. So you really, really need a running back, and you're looking to actually move Antonio Brown. Then you have to get someone like Shady McCoy.
He notes that he's playing that opponent in Week 9 when Antonio Brown is on bye.
Oh, you sneaky dog!
Where Shady already had his, so I don't know if that's.
It's always something worth looking at. Whenever you're making a trade, look at your upcoming schedule, because those things do make a difference, especially if you're on that playoff cusp where you can buy a win that way.
All right, this is a good one. Chase in Ohio, you are 6-1, and your only quarterback is Matthew Stafford. Would you pick up Rodgers or Luck off of waivers with the chance that they return for the fantasy playoffs? And which of those would you prefer if you could only grab one of them? I would prefer Andrew Luck. They have said that they're not shutting him down, and Rodgers having the injury to his throwing side, I would feel better about Luck being a fantasy playoff help.
Yeah, I can't
agree.
fathom Rodgers being able to get back. So if you got to pick one of them up, it would be Luck.
All right, Joe in San Antonio, Texas. Huge fan of the show.
Huge.
Should I give up with a 1-6 record in one of his leagues? So
nope.
in one of his leagues, 1-6. Please help me, he says.
Here's what you're going to find out. 3 or 4 teams in your league about now, maybe next week, but very soon,
They'll answer the question,
are
yes.
going to give up, and they're going to say, yes, I'm out. I can't get it done. They're going to stop making waiver claims. Maybe they'll make a bad trade because they don't care. Maybe you could take advantage of that and be the one they make a bad trade with. But the point is that every year, 99% of leagues, you have a quarter of the league quit and give up, which means those final 8 weeks to the playoffs, which is such a long run ahead of you still, you've got some easy opponents to get victories over. And when one or two of those massive teams that looks like they're playoff bound loses an Aaron Rodgers, loses an Odell Beckham, loses their Dalvin Cook, all of a sudden they're on the outskirts and you're in. Andy, a couple of years ago, you started with a poor start and battled back and almost won the championship. We have people every year write in. I started 0-5. And then, I started listening. I grind my way to the playoffs, and I won the championship.
And to be a realist, you're up against it. Like being 1-6 is not ideal. Your odds of making the playoffs have gone down. But like Jason said, I had this situation a couple of years ago. It is possible, and a wise man that I don't even remember who said this. Whatever has happened can happen in reverse. You could go 6-1 your next.
And I would also look at the records of the teams who are in the playoffs, because I guarantee you that there are at least a couple of them who are simply 4-3. You're only 3 games behind them. It's not a monster climb for you to take over just 3 games.
All right, all of our rankings for Week 8, our initial rankings, they'll be up on the website this afternoon. They might already be out, depending on when you're listening to this show, so check them out at thefantasyfootballers.com. And as always, we invite you to join our fantasy football community at jointhefoot.com. Come be a part of the Foot Clan. Enjoy year-round fantasy football. Come support this podcast.
Hey, if you're one of the live stream supporters at jointhefoot.com, I got good news for you.
Today's the day!
We got a live stream coming up this afternoon.
We also want to remind you once again about today's new sponsor, World of Warships. If you've ever wondered what it's like to be a captain of one of the great warships, if you like games, you want to check out a free-to-play historical online combat game from Wargaming, download World of Warships for free today at commandwarships.com to begin that naval adventure. And make sure you use that code Football17 in all caps, Football17 when you download. You get a ton of bonus content courtesy of the Fantasy Footballers. We personally, hand deliver you a free premium ship.
It's
a
incredible.
Famous cruiser.
Better check the door.
An extra pile of in-game currency. Who doesn't love in-game currency? And you can jumpstart that naval adventure. So download World of Warships today at commandwarships.com. Start playing right now. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll preview all of the Week 8 matchups in the last 2 shows of the week, and looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's time to make the push, man. I got to get to 8-0 in Dynasty.
Check out draft.com/ballers. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.